So moving on to the next session, we have a presentation now. This company called FoamHand, who we've all been dealing with crowd management, novel approaches to managing the movement of people. If you're lucky enough to be able to have people to move at the moment, hopefully that's going to be picking up again now. So we're going to have solutions on hand. So we have a new solution from FoamHand for just this purpose. So let's see what they have to say. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Andy Lynch. I'm with S2 Global, and I'd like to give a presentation on our CertScan bubble solution. So S2 Global is a operational solutions company. We are based in Fort Lauderdale with offices in Los Angeles, Boston, and several other additional international locations. We specialize in providing end-to-end turnkey solutions for governments and other large customers, typically in the trade, travel, and events markets. CertScan Bubble is a solution that our events business, which we refer to as S2 FoamHand, has rolled out in response to the COVID-19 crisis. And what CertScan Bubble is it enables an end-to-end access control solution so that you can create a COVID-tested environment. So early on in the COVID pandemic, one of our longstanding partners, the PGA, who we provided services for and technology for the last several years, asked us for help in rolling out a thermal screening solution at all their golf tournaments as they were looking to get the PGA back up and running, albeit without fans, in June of 2020. And so we quickly put together a solution that combined what we viewed as the best-in-class thermal cameras, along with a encrypted cloud instance network to manage that process and roll that out. And since that the PGA restarted in June, we've done over 50 golf tournaments for them at all levels, all the various tours across the United States, week in and week out. And one of the things that we've seen in that role is, kind of how large organizations are struggling to get people and particularly fans back to sporting events throughout the U.S. And this, as a example, one of the things that we've seen is with the gold standard in COVID test being the RT-PCR test, which is not really conducive to bringing fans back. Because it takes so long to get the test results. So by the time that you've taken the test and you've gotten results, there's several days that have passed. And as a result of that, unless you've quarantined for that entire time period, you've been exposed to other people and that test is really not as valid. So what we viewed as a solution to this problem would be the emergence of rapid antigen tests, which we're now seeing to be approved here in the US. They've already been approved in the EU and several other international locations. And that's really the basis of the bubble solution, is a managed rapid antigen testing process that we provide. Recently, there was a survey conducted of the public about what would actually make them come back to an event. And one of the things that stood out to us was that 74% of fans said that they would come back if there was a rapid testing requirement or capability at the entry, which again was in line with our thinking and really kind of informed our decision to move forward and create this bubble solution. So what bubble is, it combines the rapid antigen test along with a mobile application that facilitates the testing process and the subsequent notification process, as well as combining that with RFID-enabled credential technology to create a touchless entry at the checkpoint, so that you could literally show up to an event. There would be a testing site right at the entrance. You would get tested. And using a app that we would provide, you're notified within 10 to 15 minutes, which is the great thing about rapid tests, is that they're point of care. They don't require a lab or a lab technician to interpret the results like the PCR test does. so that you could just wait for 10 or 15 minutes, you get the result, then you're allowed to come in the event, into the venue showing the results of that. If it was a non-credentialed event, and if it was a credentialed event, then we would take care of that back-end linkage between your test result and your RFID-enabled credential to make the entry process truly touchless. And then obviously you could add in whatever additional checks, whether that's a thermal check for elevated body temperature, what we call EBT, at the entrance as well. So diving into a little bit more detail about what this process would look like, the fan simply downloads the application on their mobile phone and is asked to take a selfie and fill out some basic registration information. They can do this beforehand, or they can do this on site. Beforehand, the app would let them know any local locations that they could go to get pre-tested before the event, or they could just elect to show up at the event and get tested on site. Once they arrive on site, the tester will then scan their app and the QR code that's their personal identifier on their app, and also scan the test kit, which has an RFID on it as well. That essentially marries the test to the person. The test is taken. Within 15 minutes, you get the result. And then you get the notification on your app, along with a QR code that is good for that event for a specific duration of time. In many cases, that's 48 to 72 hours, just based off what the event wants to allow for that, the length of time that particular test is good for. So in the case of, say, a multi-day event or a multi-games or multi-venue event, or a conference, for example, you would get essentially a 48, 72-hour pass that QR code receive is good for. And as I stated a few minutes ago, you can either use that to show the entrance personnel to validate that your test was negative, and then you're allowed to come in, or we can, in the case of a credentialed event, we can create that linkage between your test result in the app and an RFID-enabled credential, so that you don't have to essentially scan anything or show a ticket at all. You just literally enter the event, and the RFID scanners that are located at the entrance location will identify the chip in your credential, verify your identity through the selfie that you took on the app, and then allow you to come in a completely touchless manner. And then the nice thing, the cool thing about using the RFID-enabled technology for a credentialed event is that within the event, you can manage things like contact tracing, or particular zones. If you have limitations on number of personnel, RFID scanners within the venue can manage that process for you, letting you reach capacity, for example, and things of that nature. So essentially, that's what Bubble does. It creates a managed testing process and access control solution. We're all hearing about the possibility of a vaccine here in the coming months. And the great thing about Bubble is that we're really vendor agnostic when it comes to the manufacturer of the test or the type of the test. And obviously, you could use vaccine information if you've been tested for a vaccine, and how long that vaccine is efficacious for, if that's 6 months or 9 months. That's just now the length of your pass that you're allowed to use to gain access to events. So can be used both with and without a vaccine. They're really interchangeable and not mutually exclusive at all. And essentially what we do with this solution is we assure people that are within the venue that everybody else that's within the venue has been tested, so that you're allowed to operate your venue and give fans the benefit of knowing that everybody that there is also safe. And with this, we accommodate all of our guests to help them enjoy everyday activities that everyone has been missing out on and are really looking forward to get back into. The nice thing about our platform, CertScan, which is what we use to run Bubble, is that we use this software integration platform across a number of different security and event disciplines. So, for example, we use it to incorporate training and track training for staff. We use it for our thermal screening or elevated body temperature solution. We're now using it to facilitate a COVID testing environment. We also use it for various security and inspection machines, so X-ray machines that you would see at an airport, large cargo X-ray machines that are seen at border crossings and things of that nature, access control, and then obviously using the RFID-enabled technology, proximity tracking as well. And that is our CertScan Bubble solution. Any questions? Feel free to contact myself or two of my colleagues that are based in the UK, Eoghan Gill and Adam Down, who have been with S2 FoamHand for over 6 years.
Well, thanks very much, Andrew Lynch there joining us from the States. We're very pleased to actually have Eoghan Gill here in person to address a few questions about this solution, which sounds like what everybody's been asking me about all year and what the industry needs, really. The event sector is desperate for something like this, so we can actually have the big restart. It sounds like, you know, the holy grail while we're in this limbo period when a significant proportion of the population is potentially infected. It's exactly what you need. So, but there are challenges, I'm sure. So how can this solution be integrated with existing event systems? Every event's got its own access control systems and strategy. How do you go about integrating it with these setups?
Yeah, well, I think that's a important issue, is that what we're providing here isn't, it's a very good solution, but we're obviously looking to work with all our partners and integrate where possible. The clever thing about it from a future-proofing perspective is that we have evolved the technology. We initially started with the elevated body temperature, and then it's evolved into what is now Bubble. And because it's built on our proprietary software, which is CertScan, which Andy mentioned, we can integrate fully with, whether it's fan engagement technologies, transport, security, or any other functional area. We can integrate with whatever technologies are there, so that the whole thing can become fairly seamless for fans and visitors.
Sure. And in terms of the sort of timeframes we're looking at here, I mean, you've moved really quickly to get this product sort of ready. Well, is it ready? Is it ready to roll out? And if so, when and where is that going to happen?
It is indeed. The reason that we've had to use some partners is to allow us to move quickly. So we do have specialist partners for the antigen tests and that, where it's all integrated through the CertScan software that is managed by us. We have been rolling it out from the elevated body temperature and progressing that into the Bubble, as Andy mentioned, on the PGA, over 50 events so far. So, effective immediately, we can roll this out effectively on a global basis.
That's great. Thanks. And speaking of sort of on a global basis, every country has its own sort of unique, it's not just every event that has its own system. You're working in different countries that have different sort of healthcare environments, regulatory frameworks, and all the rest of it. What are the challenges there, and how are you sort of overcoming this?
Recognize that every country, different jurisdictions are going to have different rules and regulations. So again, allowing us the flexibility, the software allows us the flexibility to be able to comply with whatever that data protection or privacy regulations may be. So we're very confident in our work already with a number of government agencies that we can meet the changing regulations in each jurisdiction.
Well, thanks, Eoghan. And what would you say to sort of event organisers that are looking to open up to crowds as soon as possible, and how this can help them?
The important thing is that we start the conversation. I'll be on the booth for the rest of the day, and I'm contactable anytime, really. And I think the important thing is to start the conversation and to get a really good understanding of the particular needs of each event, and then tailor a solution to meet those needs.
That's great. Thanks very much, Eoghan. So are you going to be in the booth sort of now during this exhibition break? Presumably you will be. Yeah, great.
Yeah,
So strongly recommend everybody hops over to the FoamHand booth and all of the other fantastic exhibitors that we have here at Host City today, and find out more about the solutions and events and host destinations that are presenting in the expo area. Thanks, Eoghan. Is there anything else that you'd like to add while we're chatting?
That's it from my end. Thank you.